We've all been there, sitting quietly with our thoughts, letting them wander, and suddenly we're convinced of something that feels so real, so true, that it almost seems undeniable. Whether it's worrying that a friend is upset with us because of a delayed text response, or assuming we're not qualified for a job because of one small mistake, our minds can often create stories that aren't grounded in reality. The truth is, our brains aren't always the best at separating facts from fiction. This is where the concept of cognitive biases comes into play. It's fascinating to realize that we don't experience reality directly. Instead, we interpret everything through the filter of our minds, which process and make sense of information. However, the mind doesn't always operate rationally. Cognitive biases are mental shortcuts that helps us make decisions quickly, but often lead us astray. Imagine you're at a social event. You make a comment and no one responds. Immediately, your brain kicks into high gear. That was a dumb thing to say. Everyone thinks I'm awkward. I shouldn't have come. This rapid chain of thoughts might feel entirely accurate, but it's more likely that you've fallen into the trap of cognitive biases. Cognitive biases are like funhouse mirrors. They destroy reality in subtle ways that are hard to detect. So let's explore a few of the most common ones that could be shaping your thoughts without even realizing it. One of the most pervasive cognitive biases is confirmation bias, where we tend to seek out information that supports our existing beliefs and ignore anything that contradicts them. This is why if you believe someone dislikes you, you'll notice every little behavior that seems to confirm it, even it's insignificant. Your mind zooms in on anything that fits the narrative you've already decided is true. So breaking free from confirmation bias requires being open to evidence that challenges your assumptions. Next time you catch yourself fixating on a negative thought, ask yourself, is there evidence for this? Or am I only seeing what I expect to see? The availability heuristic is another sneaky bias. It happens when we make decisions based on the first information that comes to mind, rather than looking at the broader picture. For example, if you've heard about several plane crashes recently, you might overestimate the danger of flying, even though statistically it's still one of the safest ways to travel. Our brains use the availability heuristic to quickly access situations, but it can also lead to irrational fears and faulty judgments. So being aware of this can help you take a step back and evaluate situations more logically. The halo effect occurs when our overall impression of someone influences how we feel about their character or abilities in specific areas. If someone is kind and likable, we might automatically assume they're also intelligent and capable, even though these traits don't necessarily go hand in hand. This bias can work both ways. If you've had a bad experience with someone, you might judge everything they do more harshly. So it's important to be aware of how our initial impressions can color our perception and try to approach situations with a more balanced view. The sunk cost fallacy is when we continue a behavior or endeavor because of previously invested resources, like time, money, effort, rather than weighing the current and future benefits of the situation. For example, staying in a relationship that isn't working just because you already put years into it is a classic example of this fallacy. And the key to overcoming the sunk cost fallacy is to focus on future outcomes rather than past investments. Just because you've spent time or money on something doesn't mean you should continue if it's not serving you anymore. Sometimes it's good to let go. The The framing effect happens when the way information is presented or framed influences our decisions and judgments. For example, people are more likely to choose a product labeled 90% fat-free than one labeled 10% fat, even though they convey the same information. Understanding this framing effect can help us make more informed decisions by looking beyond the way information is presented and focusing on the underlying facts. The self-serving bias is our tendency to attribute our successes to internal factors like skills or efforts, while blaming failures on external factors like luck or other people. For example, if you get a promotion, you might attribute it to your hard work, but if you miss out on one, you might blame office politics or bad timing. So this bias helps protect our self-esteem, but it can also prevent us from recognizing areas where we need to improve. To counteract this bias, try to assess your success and failures more objectively by considering both internal and external factors. Understanding cognitive biases isn't about eliminating them. Our brains are wired to make quick judgments to help us navigate the world. So instead, it's about recognizing when they might be influencing our thoughts and decisions in unhelpful ways. Here's a simple practice that can make a big difference. Whenever you are feeling anxious, uncertain, or negative, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this thought based on fact, or could it be a cognitive bias at play? By questioning our thoughts, we can begin to challenge them and open ourselves up to a more balanced and nuanced perspective. Trust your mind, but don't forget to question it. The next time you find yourself spiraling into self-doubt or assuming the worst, remember, don't believe everything you think. Your mind is powerful, but it's also prone to biases that can distort reality. By staying curious and questioning your thoughts, you can start to see the world and yourself more clearly. Stay open, stay curious, and remember that while your thoughts are valid, they aren't always the truth. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helped you. And if you are interested in cognitive biases, there are plenty more. So just write me and I will make another video where we will talk about more cognitive biases. Have a nice day, nice week, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Bye.